Take a Ride podcast. I'm your host here, Starks. You can find me on my Twitter handle. It's at Starks_industry. You can also find me on Instagram, One Closing Hero. I'm not here alone this evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you may be in the fantasy world. I have the combo guard running the 2 spot, Jacob the White Knight. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well, brother. God has blessed me with another day, and I'm happy to be here with you fellas.
Amen. God is good, man. And not only him, but we have the wingman running the 3 spot, LT the Sage. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good. Ready to go into some juicy things tonight with you listeners and with you fellas tonight.
Yeah, in this episode in particular, we're going to talk about some of the little recent news. We'll touch up on maybe some potential buy low, sell high players on this episode. Also, we want to dig on a Dynasty format guy that I think could be interesting for you guys. And the guy that I want to talk about is SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Hooked on Phonics, as you guys know. And at the same time, I think there's something else that we are going to touch upon is LT has something that he wants to bring up too. And real quick, let me go ahead and hit you guys with that commercial. Go ahead and make sure you go to newlifefantasy.com, join the mailing list. Make sure if you do that, also join as a member on there so that way you can see the additional information that we give you guys. So check that out. Make sure you go on the YouTube channel, subscribe zero that button here. Also hit that bell. It's dinner time. Comment below. Hit the thumbs up button. Yeah, it's going to be one of those nice gentlemen. And at the same time, the Take a Ride podcast, make sure you subscribe and help us out there. Keeps us going, keeps our feet wet, keeps our noses running. I don't know where I'm going, but that's what came out my mouth. So with that being said, I am ready to take people on for a ride. Jacob, go ahead and run that ball.
Thank you. So for the first quarter, we got some recent news here. And the most recent news here is Blake Griffin. His sore left knee. He's been ruled out for tonight's game, and he just can't shake this knee issue. Of course, we have been beating the drum, especially you, Starks, with your article on how much Blake Griffin is truly just regressing. So with this news, it's not looking good for him to come back or even look right. So I'm going to bounce past the ball to you there, Starks. What do you see in this situation? Like, who do you think is going to rise up for the Pistons? Are they going to look for answers elsewhere? What do you think?
I think this is unfortunate. I mean, we definitely did talk about him. And I mean, it makes sense to talk about him because this is a concern. I know there's owners that have him. Obviously, Christian Wood, I'm always going to beat that drum on him, but sometimes they just don't play him for odd reasons, needless to say. And then, Luke, as LT would say, I am your father, Kennard. I think he's been having a little, issues here and there as well, too. You would think he would automatically get the time. Morris, one of the Morris twins there, would get some of that bump. And then obviously LT's guy, the Rose, right? Derrick Rose would get a nice usage bump off the bench in particular. So it's typically more of a usage rate around the team in particular. But for those that have Blake Griffin, you got to do the best you can to hold on to him tight. In a dynasty format, as Star Fox would say, good luck, LT.
I don't have much to say about Blake. There's a couple things I do want to mention about the team. Blake is unfortunately in that regression year. Starks called it. We need to realize greatness while it's still with us. You called it, man. What an article in the right time. But I just want to state 2 facts here. Down goes Frazier. Tim Frazier's getting some more playing time recently. So keep an eye out on that. The more that Blake Griffin, Luke, I am your father, Kennard, goes ahead and not plays or has these injury bugs, the more time it looks like Timmy Frazier's getting. And I just wanted to let Starks know that this is how you know your season's done. ISO Joe is rounding up on the Detroit Pistons now. If you didn't know, now you know. He's back.
I didn't.
You didn't know? He's back from what was that game? What was that league called where the 3 it was 3-on-3. I forgot what it was like. It was like
the big 3?
Yeah, the big 3 where it was like all these old school basketball players playing against each other in like a pickup game.
Yeah.
For money, but might as well. And ISO Joe's team was one of the best. So I just wanted to just realize that his he's back. So I'll go ahead and
wait. He was he really in the big three?
Yeah.
Dominated. Yeah, he was a force, and that's the only reason why I can tell he's probably in the league now. He killed it in that league, and now he's on the Pistons, which Starks.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, from our listeners, I wish you could see Stark's face right now. I knew this would get him. ISO just one of our old school guys, but I'll go ahead and pass the rock back over to you, White Knight.
You know what? I don't know how, but there's an owner in our 20-man Dynasty League who drafted him. I think it was like the 13th round, but he was still playing in China, and he drafted him anyway there was no reason to draft him, but I guess he knew something that we didn't. But he's back and he's producing like the old Joe Johnson. Not really, but it's fun to have him back in the league.
Hey, no, it's not. No, it's not. ISO Joe. Someone drafted
Joe Johnson, man, with Steve Nash. Come on. Yeah. Sean Marion. Those are fun days.
Oh, Sean Marion.
The Matrix.
The Matrix.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
So next on the news is another disappointing player who we had high hopes for, but he just can't shake the injury bug, and that's Kayvon Looney. He has left abdominal soreness. He started the year off with hamstring issues, so he's been ruled out for Tuesday's game, which is never a good sign when someone is ruled out a full day ahead. So this will be his third straight game that he's missed, and it's just with D'Angelo Russell being listed out with an illness, it just really seems like the Warriors are just full on tanking this season and just making sure that no one good plays. So I want to fast pass the ball back to ULT. What are your thoughts on the Warrior situation? I know that you added them in your power rankings pretty low there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Kevin, they right now they're in this musical chairs of bringing people back. Maybe playing a game or two so it doesn't look suspicious, and then an illness comes. All right, D'Angelo Russell, you're playing way too good. You get sick. Go ahead and chop out. Kayvon Looney's a little frustrating to own because I feel like he's a guy that if he does come back healthy and can play, he will get time still because they still want to develop him. We're actually going to go over that here coming up on my Sage Trade Corner because there is a little bit of a rumor going around here in Warrior Land they're putting basically like you stated, White Knight, they're about to put a lot of chips in for next year. But yeah, cause he's so frustrating to own right now because you thought he has all of the ability, but it's just those injuries. And also, there's been video surfacing of the Warriors with it's just funny because Stephen Curry with his daughter did a whole handshake patty cake thing.
I seen that.
Yeah, you saw that, and everybody, all the comments were like, "Oh, his hand looks fine. If you could do if you could do that long of a patty cake with your daughter, your hand must be fine." We got Klay Thompson in full gear. He's like in his full jersey taking shots from the 3-point line. Look, his legs look good to me. So I don't know, but that's just adds to the fire there. I'll pass the rock over to you, Starks. What do you think?
Kayvon Looney, 10, 12, 14-man league. You can cut him. You can only pretty much roster him in the deepest of the deepest leagues. I mean, if you have that luxury to stash him, then yes, but you can cut bait on him. We all know how Golden State is at this point in time. Dynasty leagues, I would actually still try to pilfer him off an owner for, the longevity. That's all I got. Jacob, I'll pass you back the ball there, brother.
Right on, brother. What are your thoughts on D'Angelo Russell and any other player that's affected by that?
Well, do you mean that as far as like their gameplay on Golden State or, with them on the court without him on the court per se?
to me, it just so he's sick right now. Like quote unquote. Like he's sick, which is going to give a lot of run to the younger guys. It just seems like they really want to give run to their younger guys and not play the guys that they might trade or that might actually help them win. So I'm just curious. It's like which players would benefit, and would you like this is early, but would you look to sell Russell if he does come back and dominate?
Oh, we could just go ahead and jump into that. I would actually try to sell Russell. Honestly, I would try. We could just go ahead and get into that a little bit now because we are going to talk about the buy low, sell highs. And then real quick, guys, I forgot to mention to go on the ISO straight on the side here is LT the Sage. He put out that the NBA power ranking. So guys, check that out on newlifefantasy.com. That's some awesome content. We'll touch up a little bit more on the clutch shot. But yeah, as far as D'Angelo Russell and Draymond Green, I'm going to try to sell them as quickly as possible when they have a couple of good games because you're going to be playing musical chairs with the load management there. I don't foresee them playing a whole lot of games the rest of the season because it's just like what LT said and how he has them in the power rankings, low in the rankings. What do they have to play for other than tank tops, right? So that's what we're thinking of. But at the same time, no, I think one thing I want to also mention is, the younger cats, like you kind of mentioned, Jacob, then, Damian Lee, he could be a player that could get a lot of shine there, right? They're going to, flex a little bit with whenever Pascal, what's his name? Eric Pascal. Pascal. Right. If he gets time on the court, I mean, he's been a little iffy injury on there too, but they're going to use the younger guys there. They're going to see what they have. And, that's all I got there, Jacob.
Right on, brother. That was good. So my last piece of news to end the first quarter, and then we'll move on to the buy low, sell high there. But DeAndre Ayton, thankfully, is returning tonight. Nice. And I know for me as an owner, it was extremely maddening for me to wait 25 games and then for him to only come back like 2, and then for him to go down with an injury. It's like, so like that was probably the perfect time to buy low on him for anyone. And you still could buy low if that owner's still like a little leery, is he going to go down again? Is the ankle, like, is it not right? So he's finally coming back tonight. So I'm going to pass the ball to you there, LT. What do you think this does to for the outlook of the Suns and any other players you can think of there?
Yeah, so thanks for that, Rock, White Knight. It means a lot. It means a lot for their team. Unfortunately, they started off, should I say, hot as the sun at the start of the beginning. But unfortunately, they've cooled off. Looks like most teams have figured out how to stop them, which is a surprise. Stop 1 or 2 players, and they can't score. So hopefully this changes with DeAndre Ayton as another threat on the court. This for you fantasy owners, I know you're grinning from ear to ear, especially if you have been able to hold him in an IL spot. He should come back out. Hopefully he can stay healthy. That's going to be the main thing we're going to look at. I know you'll be looking too, White Knight. He can stay healthy. Aaron Baines, Aaron Baines, probably still going to have a little bit of value still in that rotation because Ayton right now is coming off the bench. So I would still maybe deploy Baines for now, but he is also probably a sell candidate with Ayton coming back. And then Frank the Tank, you could probably just go ahead and lose that war with Frank the Tank here. He's probably no longer going to be a force. So I'll go ahead and pass the rock over to you, Starks. What do you think about the Suns and Ayton?
No, I think you guys covered it. I want to actually segue into a quick ISO again, before I may forget. Now, I know that there was a major, the hype and echo train on Gary Payton II from Washington, the pickup. But I want to also say this: Jordan McRae had a season high just here and tonight. I think it was like 29 points. So The thing is, real quick on that is, again, when you jump on so quick to the echo and hype train on players, we definitely like Gary Payton here. It's not to throw shade at him, but I just always put a caution on, like, just be careful of putting so much fab on a player because you don't want to be prisoner of a moment just because of obviously his name value still holds a lot. But Jordan McRae is someone we've talked about in this podcast that you can consider, and Jacob's had him, I believe, in his streams as well. So, that's something we want to talk about. But last thing I will kind of transition back into Ayton. I was a little bit of an opposite here, Jacob. I know you said buy low. When he had that, I think it was a 4 or 5 block game, the first game he had this season, right. I was just kind of like, when they were saying he was coming back from the PEDs, I was like, you know what? I think, well, maybe if it was PEDs or whatever it was, I was going to say, maybe I'm going to try to sell him real quick because I think I want something that I can probably get because he's not a block specialist. But, that's where I stand. But that's only for maybe in a redraft league, Dynasty league, he's going to be fine. But I'll pass you back the ball there, Jacob. That's all I got.
I'm going to fast pass the ball right back to you, and you can be quick. But I have a question. Would you rather have DeAndre Ayton or Zion in a Dynasty league?
Oh, gosh.
For the listeners, I'm going to take Zion. But if my team built is for, I'm just going to take Zion. I mean, off of pure value, I'll take Zion. I'll pass you back the ball. Actually, let me take the ball from you and give a quick pass to LT, okay. Zion or DeAndre Ayton.
Zion.
Okay.
Jacob, what about you, man? Real quick.
I would too. I was just curious if you guys were thinking with this,
I like Bam. I would rather have Bam than Ayton, so I guess that puts it there. So yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, okay. All right. With that, the buzzer is sounding off, and that's the end of the first quarter. There, Starks, man. I'll pass the ball to you there.
Nice. So second quarter, I'll go ahead and take the rock, and let me give the second quarter honors there to LT. If you want to go ahead with the trade rumors that you populated there, brother.
Rumor has it, the Sage trade rumor mill. We got a couple of juicy ones here, and I want to go ahead and start off with a spicy one for our guy Starks here. Starks, your boy, your de facto number 1 pick, Karl Anthony Towns. It sounds like the Warriors are interested
in play.
Yeah, are interested in going after Cat this trade. Cat does not seem happy right now, and why would he? They are as you see on my rankings list, they're so low right now as far as their wins, as far as just the team, and on paper they should be way better than they are. Way better. What do you think, Starks, about the possibility of a Cat to Warriors trade happening this
You guys should listen, if you guys can get on YouTube, please do. But I'm going to say this real quick. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, right? So you said Cat is acting like he would be upset to go there. Is that my understanding?
No. Cat, it seems there's reports coming out of Minnesota that Cat is unhappy with the present situation in Minnesota. Yeah.
And okay, gotcha.
And the Warriors have expressed interest in his services.
Well, I'm sure they are interested, right? The experiment with Boogie Cousins failed so horribly a bit, right? But I guess they never needed Boogie anyway. And just like I guess they don't even need Cat because their team is already good. Even without KD, it just unfortunately they have all these injuries with Steph and Clay. We can go on and on for that. But if Golden State was able to pull that off, I guess I have no words, but I'm just going to look at it in a fantasy standpoint because you guys know, me and LT and probably even Jacob could go on this tangent about Golden State on certain things, but I will digress and won't get to that. I will say that Karl Anthony Towns, as far as his value goes in fantasy, the typical thing is you would be concerned with his value because of how many players are already there. Mm-hmm. But I think if he takes any dip, it would just be a slight dip, but he would still be a first round top 6-ish player. He would move back a couple of picks, but he would still be fine. Jacob, what's your thoughts, man?
It's funny because weren't the Wolves really trying to get D'Angelo Russell? Mm-hmm. So it's weird that now the Warriors want Towns. It's not like they're going to trade D'Lo for Towns. Just because they want to play with each other, like whether that be after Towns' contract, which ends in like 4 years, like they want to somehow end up with each other. And it seems to me that this knee issue that Towns is having is a little bit of a leverage play by Towns, being like, hey, if this, if this ship isn't going to right, I'm not going to put myself at risk. So you either trade me or I'm not going to play, which
I like that.
Like, I don't know if that's true. I don't want to speak to his character, but at the same time, he's probably just looking out for himself because, like LT said, he's unhappy. So I personally would not love him going to the Warriors just as a fan standpoint. But as a fantasy owner, I mean, like the Warriors are desperate for a center. If they get Towns and then they get everyone back healthy next year, it's over again. Like it's just Warriors steamrolling.
I don't know about that, but yeah.
No?
I don't know. I don't know if it'll
sure?
be. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be over again. There's some pretty hammy other teams in the league, so I wouldn't say it would be over. But because you gotta. I know, but you got to think. And I want to keep this fantasy, but you got to think the Nets next year, the Brooklyn Nets are going to be pretty hammy next year too. So you got, and Jared Allen. I mean, not saying that he's as good as Cat, but defending.
You like Allen, don't you?
I like Allen defending Cat, and then you got Durant, Clay, you got Kyrie. I think those two teams are pretty much even Stevens when Durant comes back. So there's still teams that can beat them, but yeah, it'll be like three super teams if he goes over to the Warriors. So I just wanted to see what you guys think.
I'm going to steal the ball.
Okay, go ahead.
And let me just say, I just want to say this. The reason why I kind of still think it could potentially be over if it was to happen is because, look, it may not seem like it because they're not going to have KD. I get it. But let's look at it like this. Towns, Draymond Green, your favorite there, LT, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry. And let's not forget about what Eric Pascal's done. And let's not forget what maybe Damian Lee could do. Yeah. And let's not forget what Alec Burks can do off the bench. Like, that's what I'm saying. You got all of these pivotal, exactly those weird role players. And like, you remember Sean Livingston, Shaun of the Dead, doing that crazy stuff. Now he's not there anymore, but Alec Burks can take that role, right? They just have that solid core team and I don't know. But that's all I got.
I could steal the ball from you and talk about the Nets. we got Dinwiddie, right? Okay. Dinwiddie, there you go, White Knight. There you go. Dinwiddie scoring 30 points on his own on that Barron team. You got multiple defensive. What's our guy over there, Prince of All Saiyans? I think he can give a couple of those people over there a run for his money on the defensive end. You got my guy. He
sucks lately, but
he does suck lately. But I mean, they won't need him to score next year, so it won't matter. But yeah, we can deep down and we can dig super down into that. But but I wanted to just say real quick that this trade, if it does happen, it is going to make the Warriors look really bad, and so that's something to keep in mind because it's one of those things where this year it's almost like they're tanking on purpose. They're trying to act like they're not, but it does look like it, and so now they can leverage a pick. If they get a top pick this year, they can leverage that. Even if they don't get Cat this year during the season, if they get a top pick, they can leverage that for a trade in the offseason. Let's not forget. So this is something. This is bad because that's exactly what they're doing, and there's no way to stop it. That's just the way the game's played. So I'll go ahead and touch up on what it Cat's teammates. He's getting a lot of interest for some of the top teams: Clippers, Lakers, Bucks, and that's covert ops. Starks, or actually White Knight. What do you think about Robert Covington and the potential of the Timberwolves getting completely blown up here as far as their top players? And what do you think about covert ops going over to one of the bigger teams to add to them?
From a non-fantasy perspective, it's a good move for anyone to add that man. I mean, like, Covington is just a perfect 3-and-D guy, and he's a perfect 3-and-D guy for your fantasy team too. So wherever he goes, I feel like his fantasy value won't really change unless he goes to like the Clippers or like a deep team like that. Like, he'll need to go to the Bucks. I feel like he would thrive there, and I feel like he would be the starter. He would definitely take all the minutes away from Wesley Matthews. So I'm rooting for that team for sure to grab him if I am a Covington owner. But yeah, I mean, anywhere he goes, either off the bench or starting, he'll definitely be he will benefit for sure. What do you think about that, Starks?
Wherever Covington goes, I will go and like that team. Just about, except if it was for a certain team that I won't say on the podcast, but I think everybody knows what we think about a certain team. But anyways, no, Covington, if he was to go to a different team, was there any speculation on who was looking at
the two main teams were the Western Lakers, Clippers, and then the article also mentioned top Eastern teams, Bucks. I didn't see the Celtics on there, but the Bucks is the main team I remember as teams trying to kind of go using the trade deadline to just bolster their rosters and get stronger for that playoff run. So those were the two teams specifically, the Western teams, but they also mentioned the Bucks have interest as well.
If he went to the Lakers, it's almost like a lot. What if they decide to play him at the 4 a little bit from time? Well, no, I know that's weird, but let's just think of it hypothetically, him and Danny Green. Mm-hmm. I know that would be an odd combination. Mm-hmm. Maybe just throw Anthony Davis at the 5. They probably wouldn't do that, but that's just something to look at. Yeah. But I think if they were to do it, because I'm going to be honest with you, the Lakers done some weird type of lineups this year, with Monkey D. Luffy, which is McGee on this podcast, and Anthony Davis. And they've just been behemoths out there. Now, it didn't work against the Bucks, but it's been working for most of the season. So, if he went to the Clippers, to me, like just what Jacob said, any team he goes on, they're going to pretty much thrive almost essentially. That's all I got. LT.
Oh, good. My thoughts is that I really think teams, if he's available and people can absorb that contract, I really think he needs to go to a team that's in the middle of the road. I think those teams need to reach out to them so they can put themselves in a position for the playoffs to be able to go up against these Lakers, these Bucks, these other teams that have shown that they Mavericks. The Mavericks, the Blazers, all these teams that just need to bolster their defensive ranks and get better on that side. I really think that's something to definitely look into. In a similar case, guys, my last guy here is Thaddeus Young. Thaddeus Young. Yeah. Yeah, why not? Starks. Thaddeus Young there's a lot of teams. I didn't know this, but I guess there's a lot of teams that are interested in Thaddeus Young's services in a similar fashion, similar role. Top tier teams looking to bolster their benches, looking to bolster their rosters before the playoffs. What do you guys think about his value, Thaddeus Young, moving forward, if he is to be traded to one of these top tier teams?
You know what? Real quick, I won't hold too much time on it. I just don't think obviously he's not a bad player. He was actually really surprisingly good last year. He's a little bit older in his, as far as NBA and fantasy years. But it kind of goes by what team that he goes to. Obviously, Chicago, he probably doesn't have his heart in there. So that's probably why he's playing so poor. But if he does go to a contender, I think his fantasy value could obviously increase. It just kind of goes by what team he goes on to. But Jacob, what's your thoughts, man?
Just to steal the ball real quick, main team that's looking at him is the Clippers. Exactly. But there has been reports of other teams, accruing interest now. Since the Clippers are in interest, now they're like, hey, wait, we can't have you going to the Clippers. We need you over here, Lakers, Rockets, a couple other big Western teams as well. So I'll pass the rock over to you, White Knight.
Yeah, I think he would be extremely valuable for a contending team in a small role. He is just that type of guy. He is a better real life player than fantasy for sure. And he would definitely bolster anyone's roster. And for the Clippers to be interested, that would actually be a great fit for him. Mm-hmm. As far as fantasy goes, like Stark said, it would go up wherever he goes just because he'll play a lot harder because the Bulls are going nowhere. On a rebuilding team, I mean, he's the bet, and he wants to play for something. I definitely think that would be a savvy move for the Clippers if they could figure that out. But those are all the thoughts I have on that, LT.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm completely same thing as you guys said. Completely with it as well. Again, my same sentiments as Robert Covert Ops as it is with Young and the Restless. You gotta go ahead and those middle tier teams. You can't let the Clippers, Lakers just add chips, just add chess pieces to the board without fighting for it. I implore these other teams to really look into, I hope they are able to take these guys instead. But these guys want rings, right? These guys have been in the league for a while. They want rings, and they want pretty sure bets. So hopefully the Mavericks is one of the teams I'm really looking for them to make some moves here. Because if they can bolster that roster, they are a threat, I feel like, in the West. But that's all I got. Sage trade rumor corner out. Over to you, Starks.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and take that ball and run that third quarter. We're going to go just a couple of buy low, sell highs. And real quick, timekeeper, what's the time looking at right now there, Sage?
Right at that 30 mark.
Nice.
Perfect. We're moving at a decent pace and space here or whatever, however, eat it. It feels good anyways. Anyway, so, yeah, OG Anunoby is on a situation where he started out earlier this season, even like around the top 30-ish. He slowed down. He's currently for the season 102nd for the season, 32 games. And then last week, he was ranked 318th. The last 2 weeks, he's been ranked 232. I will pass you the ball there, LT.
Mm-hmm.
Are you buying low on OG Anunoby? Or is this one of those things, this looks about right for him?
Wow. That's a very good question, Starks. My heart says it's a buy low moment.
Okay.
But I think this is where he's at because this last week he's had all the keys. He's had the keys basically to that team the last, I say, week and a half with just maybe Lowry, maybe some Van Vliet. But the loss of Siakam, the loss of was it Marc Gasol and Powell, he has the opportunity to put some, great stat lines, and he just hasn't. It's been very, very, very underwhelming. And so this might be just where he's at. Now, what we also can play a factor is that, again, our guy over there in Toronto, the coach, is just running these guys rampant. Ragged. And he may just not have the stamina right now for a full because remember, one thing about rookies is they start to teeter off near the end of the year because they're not used to that long NBA season. So I don't know. OG, I feel like he can be better, but I would probably think this is where he's at. And I don't know if I'm an owner. I don't know if I would sell him high or low, or if I'm a buyer, if I would do too much to get him. What do you think, Starks?
I'm gonna take the ball and pass it right back to Jacob with your thoughts before I say mine.
I mean, Pascal Siakam's hurt, Powell's hurt, and Marc Gasol's hurt, and yet he's posting these lines of 5 points and 1 rebound, 6 points, 5 rebounds, and it's like there just comes a time where it's like, he started off the year great, but maybe he just plays better with better players around him. And Siakam has no return date. Marc Gasol, I think, in a few weeks, and Norman Powell, I think he's out indefinitely.
Indefinitely, yeah.
Right. So he is looked upon to be the guy, and he has proven that he is not the guy. He works well with others. So I am cool on him. I'm not going to buy low. If I have him in a 9-cat league, I'll hold. If I have him in a points league, he's long gone. He's not doing anything for me in points league. So that's where I stand with OG there, Starks.
Yeah, this is actually tough. You guys almost have me convinced in a way to think of kind of staying away, but because I think LT, you're kind of like buy low, kind of, but you felt like this is the right spot. Like Jacob, you said you're probably not. I
was gonna say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I love OG Anunoby. I've watched his game. I've loved him since the beginning of the season. So I actually, if it was me, I would give him the benefit of doubt and try to go after him to get him. But
Okay.
I'm trying to think as an analyst on an analytical idea that he should be doing more and he's not, and that's worrisome. That's very worrisome.
So I'll say it like this: you guys brought some good points, and I know you guys are kind of like divided on this. I think this is really tough for me. I think maybe I would try to buy on him, and I know you made a lot of good points there, Jacob, because it's like it seemed like he was obviously better with Gasol on the court, Pascal Siakam on the court, even potentially Norman Powell on the court. And the thing is, what's really driving his value down right now is his usage rate. And you're like, wait a minute, his usage rate should be higher. You're absolutely right. It has, right? So that's been the issue. He's been taking more responsibility. And when he's been taking more responsibility, his field goal percentage has torpedoed throughout the season. Not only that, he was getting you those good, solid, the stock stats, as people some don't like to hear, the steals and blocks. Mm-hmm. And those are starting to dwindle down too as well. So it's like, if you don't have that, because he's not particularly a scorer, but if he's not doing that, then kind of like he's not really a good fantasy player. Now, it's just more of a gut call because the analytical side would say, in the technicality of things, would still say that this is about the right and he's probably going to get worse. But for me to get off the analytical side, I think he'll find a way to increase himself, to find himself in better spots, to be better and stop to try to be something that he's not. And I think maybe he can have the potential to improve a little bit. Now, I think his spot, that kind of where he's at now, it seems fair, but I think I would still try to buy low in hoping. And I know you shouldn't hope on player. Right. You should be more of a person that should get the stats, but the upsides that he was doing earlier this season, I didn't expect him to be a top 25 and 35 player that he started, but I think we can still look at him as a potential top 80-ish or 90-ish player, and that's what I would try to buy him on. If you're not going to be able to get that price, then I would stay away from him. But Toronto, they still run the tight rotation there, and I just believe somehow, some way he'll figure it out, but it is definitely tough. But I'll pass you the ball there, Jacob. Is there someone that you want to talk about on like a buy low or sell high guy that you had on deck there, brother?
I do. I'm super curious to see what you guys think of this man right here from Sacramento, Buddy Hield. Buddy. I don't know if you guys ever saw that movie called Heavyweights with Ben Stiller.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
I probably saw it, but I don't remember it.
Buddy. All right. I'll digress, but
I'm sure Lewis did.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, all right. Yeah, man, we need to get him back on. But lately he's been doing well. But over the past 2 weeks, he is in a 9-cat. He's ranked 212. He has been struggling, and his field goal percentage is in the 30s. He's just not playing well, and also he wasn't closing out games, and I know that we all saw that. And he had like a comment saying that the coaches didn't believe in him. So there's just a lot of turmoil going on in Sacramento, that's for sure. So as lately though, he's been turning it up. Over the past 3 games, he's played almost 40 minutes a game. So I think the coach heard him. So do you think this is a time to either buy low or sell high? I mean, like over like the last 3 games, he's been producing in the top 50, but over the past 2 weeks, he's outside the top 200. So I know this is a little bit confusing, but just curious, if you saw that Buddy Hield was available for trade, would you try to go after him, LT?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would. The reason why I would go after him is because it has to get better than this, right? So, we're all creatures of habit, and the habit the thing that was so great about Buddy Hield is that he was ramping up his shots, but he was also a pretty good field goal percentage guy. He was decently, for the amount of shots he was taking, he was decent at those shots dropping in more than not, especially his 3-point shot. And so just the fact that it's so down this year, I was just looking at the numbers here, White Knight, and he was at for 3 years before, prior to this year, 42, 43, 42, 3%, right? 36% from three this year, and 36%. So he's almost down 6 or 7% from the last couple of years when he's been pretty consistent. So the thing is that I would imagine it goes higher, it goes up. There could be a number of factors going on. The team is now healthy. So with the team now being healthy, there's not going to be as much emphasis on stopping Buddy Hield every night. So he should have more open shots now that Fox is there, now that Bagley's back. Now that these guys are back in the fold, he should have more room to operate and make these shots a little bit more. And it may be just these last 3 games may be the effect of that coming through. He also had a career-high 8 assists last game, so he has a lot more talent around him right now. So I would definitely buy him, just hoping that the rest of the year he can figure it out. What do you think, Starks?
Okay, but wait.
Man,
go ahead.
So LT, he wants to buy him from you, Starks. You own him. Would you sell him?
No, I'm not selling him. That's to him, not to LT.
Not to me.
I might sell him to someone else. But I was going to say this. It bothers me on top of what you said, Jake, because what I mean, I wouldn't sell him to LT. This is another thing. I don't like to agree with LT on because we're rivals, and I have to agree with him on this. Buddy Hield, his usage rate is up. There's a lot of things that's up. The only thing that's torpedo in his value right now is the field goal percentage, kind of what LT said for this year. He's shooting at 41%. It's very low, and he's pumping up the volume. He's taken, I believe, 2 more extra shots this year. And honestly, like the dynamic of Sacramento, also what LT had mentioned, they have been unhealthy most of the season. They're getting more healthier now. Bagley's still kind of like iffy right now with the health issue. But as long as they get healthy and they start winning games, maybe that might help them in a way. De'Aaron Fox is finally back. But, I would definitely buy him. It's just going to go by where do I think he finishes at? And it's funny because he's almost at 1 steal this year. I kept saying, come on, man, get a steal. Right. He's almost at that 1 steal. But it's just like I said, it's just that field goal percentage that's destroying him. Even that free throw percentage is kind of hurting him a tad bit, although it's not a high volume, but that's kind of brought his volume down a little bit. But if you're getting that many minutes, obviously in a 9-cat category league, they expect you to do more. He hasn't done that much more, but we're hoping him to do more. Do I envision him as a top 50 player? Excuse me. It's a little tough, right? But like you had mentioned, Jacob, the last 2 weeks and week, he hasn't been looking particularly good, but the last couple games he has. So hopefully that he's a player that I'm buying. And if I had him, I'm still not selling him to LT. I might sell him to somebody else.
Sell him to me because I'm definitely buying me somebody. That's all I got to say about that. You guys make cool points there.
Nice. LT, do you have a buy low or sell high guy you want to mention? We can kind of transition.
Yeah. Just real quick, I'm not going to go too much into this guy, but I wanted to go ahead and reach out to you guys about Chris Paul. Chris Paul's been yes. Look at that smiling face right there.
He looks ready.
He's ready. Chris Paul. What you say, White Knight?
He's a good looking dude. What can I say?
Man, what can I? Thunder and lightning, right? But anyways, he's been playing really well the last couple of weeks, and he started off a little slow, but he's been picking it up. He's actually oh man, I just had the stat, but now I can't think of it. But he's been playing really well. He's old. He is a trade candidate. We don't know if those bones are going to hold up for the rest of the season. What do you guys think about Chris Paul? And should you buy? Is he a sell high candidate? White Knight.
I think I'm the wrong guy to ask this because I'm always looking to sell high on him. I've never been. I mean, I have. Over the past few years, it's just I can't trust his injury issues. He's been nice this year. I mean, like he's staying healthy. But over the past few years, he's just dealt with those hammy issues and I don't think you get stronger as you grow older. So I would definitely be looking to sell. I don't have much to say other than that. But like, if I own him in a redraft or a 9-cat, or in a 9-cat, I would definitely look to sell. In points, I mean, he's racking up points. So I mean, I would just keep on riding that wave, because even if he gets traded, he'll produce for you. But I think you can get a lot of value for him in a 9-cat league. But I'll pass the rock to you there, Starks.
I was just going to say this about Chris Paul. You definitely cut coupons. I'm sure anybody that drafted him in any league, you cut coupons with him and you're feeling pretty good for the time being. Again, I will say this real quick, LT. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if OKC ends up keeping him, because I don't think anybody wants him just because of the age factor in the contract, in a sense. I guess it's going to go by, and it's funny because you have the NBA rankings, and that was the most classic one I read was OKC. It was almost like, I bet you were grossing your stomach to even place them where you wanted to place them at, because of how they are. And you guys need to check that out. Of course, we'll talk about it a little bit more at the end of the podcast. But as far as Chris Paul is concerned, man, would I buy him? I mean, in a redraft league, I would take the risk. Dynasty league, no, I'm not going to buy him unless I'm all in. If all of my chips are in to win this year, yes, I will put all my chips in. But that's my thoughts on him. He's having an excellent year, and I think what's smart, what OKC is doing, they have his usage rate. It's a lot. Wouldn't say it's a lot lower, but it's dipped, and they've been conservative with him, right? So that's good to say. Needless to say, the least. Well, I don't know where I was going with that, but it's good that his usage rate is not that high, because that's going to be a lot of wear and tear. But the more games he plays, it's still a concern. LT, I'll pass you back the ball, man. What's your thoughts?
Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm with you. And I'm a little privy. I'm not the right one to answer this question, because I do own him in multiple leagues. So I wouldn't sell him. I would keep him, because his value right now for where I drafted him is just too great. I got to just ride the wave, as we would say, until I can't ride it no more. So as far as that is concerned, I specifically picked Chris Paul to segue into one of his teammates that you, Starks, are very interested in a dynasty format. Is that correct?
That is correct. I'm glad to transition right into the fourth quarter, and then we'll get to the clutch shots. It's SGA, his teammate, right? So SGA this year is currently ranked 79 for the year. And I know a lot of the experts in the industry, even including myself, would say he was going to be potential top 50 player this year. He's been struggling. I'm not going to lie. He was outside the top 100 a lot this season. And, some people were kind of saying he was a fantasy bust. And some people also said, and it's like, it's easy to say someone is a bust when they do bad, right? But some people, I don't think people give certain players enough time, right? And it's unfortunate, because you just can't jump the gun. Just like someone said, Triple J is a bust, but he's starting to play a little bit better now. But, anyways, getting back on SGA, the last week, he's been a top 17 player. The last 2 weeks inside the top 6. He had a career high game here recently. He's picking things up. He's not getting the assist there. I thought he would get more this year. He's only at 2.8, but that's obviously with Chris Paul there. And then at the same time, it's OKC. Like, how are they going to get assists? But it's like, how are they winning, right? It's because of him and Chris Paul. And surprisingly, Nintendo DS ain't doing too bad either.
Too, yeah.
He's just not doing too bad. And I know a lot of people threw the flag in on him. Now, his usage rate has bumped up massively the last couple weeks. We expected the usage rate to come up, of course, because they it's not even potentially, they gave him the keys. I think it's fair to say. He's pumping up the volume the last couple weeks. Now, I know for the season he's shooting close to 16 shots a game, but the last 2 weeks he's been taking 19 shots a game. He's pumping up the volume outrageously. And this is what I've been waiting for. Because I was like, man, where's his steals at? Because he's a guy that gets steals. He's only at he's at 1.2. That's fine. But the last 2 weeks, 2.2 steals a game. And then last week, 2.7 steals. That is what I've been looking for, because that is what is going to start his value in fantasy. And he's getting you 3-pointers because he doesn't typically hit a lot of them, but you're going to be excited to get 1.3 from him. And even last week, 1.7, that's going to reach the median score the Z scores of a 3-point shot, which is good. And it's sad because, again, I can go on this ISO rant about 3-pointers. Everybody's shooting them. So if you actually, to kind of segue back a little bit, 1.3 is actually not even good enough in fantasy. Mm-hmm. You need to score at least 1.5 3-pointers a game to be above the Z score, because you're pretty much everybody else at the 3-point shot. So we're working on an article about punting strategies. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that needs to be highlighted on, right? 3-pointers. You could just stream that, but I won't get in depth with that. We'll have that in a blog here that me and Jacob is having a collaboration on. So keep that in mind. But as far as SGA goes and what his dynasty outlook seems to be, now I'll say this. Do I think he's going to be a top 50 player this year? At this rate, as he's improving, hopefully he does. I want to see that happen, because I had him around maybe a top 60-ish, top 50 player. He's not doing that right now. Could he get there? Yeah, there's still time in the season. I think we've got about 50% left in the season. So let's think of it like that. We haven't hit all-star break yet. So that's something to keep in mind. And then for the next 3 to 4 years, he could be a top 35-ish or better player the rest of the season. So SGI and how OKC is doing, I like what they're doing. I mean, obviously it's still my team. I don't like to hold that, but I'm still going to hold on to the team, and I have some light with SGA. As far as Hamidou Diallo, he's been out, so maybe he could be some type of guy. His upside is not very high, but it's someone I'm still looking forward to. But as far as SGA, for those that love Dynasty guys or Dynasty formats and you love it, I would try to buy him. And if you're going to sell him, you better make sure you get the right bang for your buck. Any thoughts there, gentlemen?
Man.
Yeah, that's
I was
great.
going to say about SGA there. I was recently asked a question, who I would rather have in a points league, him or Mitchell Robinson. And I was quick to say I would rather have SGA, just because I don't trust Robinson's minutes, and he fouls out a lot. So, and SGA on the other side, he gets a ton of minutes. He gets a lot of usage, like you guys said. He pumps up the volume. And what LT said earlier, Chris Paul, he doesn't have a lot of usage. That's what you were saying, right, LT?
Yeah, and so was Starks. So yeah, his usage rate is not super high.
Right. So I mean, like, that just gives like SGA the keys to the offense. So I think he'll be a great player for the rest of this season. And I agree with Starks. I mean, he's a great dynasty asset if you can pry him away. But I'll pass the ball to you there, LT. What do you think?
Yeah, I love it. I definitely love it. SGA, again, I have him in a couple leagues. I like him from last year. I actually started liking him last year as I picked him up later in the season when he was on the Clippers, and he was kind of you streamed him too. Yeah, he was. It was just a shot in the dark, but he was producing. Yeah. He was producing for me in a league last year, late in a late run. So I actually like this guy a lot. It's funny, we give a lot of flack to the Bulls for running a weird point guard rotation over there. Somehow the Thunder have figured out how to make it work. They figured it out. They figured the system out, and it's just with I think that you can only do it with an old savvy veteran like Chris Paul, able to produce with less usage. And SGA and your guy Shredder Starks, they've been doing what they need to do to get wins. So it's actually very nice to see. But that's all I got, brother. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks. So the clutch shot, as we're in the fourth quarter and overtime, I think here, I will say this. We had a listener comment here. LT, I'll let you do the honors. It's on the Twitter. I don't know if he reached out to you, but I think it ties into the trade rumor on Towns that I'll bring up. But as you bring that up, I'm gonna pass you the ball there, Jack, if you have a clutch shot there, man.
Oh, my clutch shot is, be on the lookout for all of our articles. I mean, like, we're coming in hot. I mean, like, we got a lot of articles coming at you. We got, like Stark said, we got the punt strategy coming. I have a fantasy football article that's coming, like a top 36 for next year. So if you guys want to look at an early, like who to think about, because it's never too early to think about, like fantasy football, and it's never too early to think about fantasy baseball. And we just did a sleeper article, and we got one coming as well. So you guys be on the lookout for that. I mean, like, that's my clutch shot. I hope you guys enjoy our articles, and it's such an honor to hear you guys, like either like on like the DM or on Twitter saying that you look for our articles, you read them right away, and it's such a blessing to us. So thank you so much for reading our articles.
Thank you so much, LT. I think it's on the should be on your page, brother. I think he just literally, it's like the up top. It should be super recent. I don't know why it's not there. It's weird.
I don't see it. No, but okay. Do you know what it is?
Go ahead. Yeah, I'll bring it up. I'll take it as a clutch shot, and then you can bring up your clutch shot. We'll still talk about your blog too. So this I think this ties really well on this your trade corner there, Sage. That with Towns, right? Mm-hmm. So Saunders says Naz Reid literally got off the plane and came here to target center. Says They joked after the game that Naz had 16 shots in 20 minutes, but they like most of them and want him to get the attempts up. So you like that from Naz played this way tonight. That's from John Meyer, beat writer. So let me say this about that, because Naz Reid is a center for Minnesota, and he got minutes out of nowhere. Now, I'm going to say this real quick. In the Dynasty format, this is a guy that I've mentioned in the episodes. I was just like, if he gets time, it's going to be hard for him to get time on the court because of Gorgie Porgy. We know Towns is there. But if Towns was to somehow leave and he gets minutes, he'll do well. And Naz Reid did play today, and he got some minutes. So it kind of makes me think if the Sage's eyes might be real here, because that potential of him being traded, they could be trying to utilize Naz Reid. So I just wanted to say that. That'll be kind of my clutch shot. And I'll pass you the ball there, LT. Actually, if you want to go ahead and do 2 additional clutch shots, especially in the article you put up, that was excellent today.
Definitely appreciate that. I want to, Naz Reid, that's a big cheat code right there, Starks. I guess we got to let our listeners know about Naz Reid, especially with these trade rumors. Also with the covert op trade rumors, I got to let you know. Is it the Sage eyes are looking 27 minutes from Keita Bates-Diop as well. Just keep your eyes on that. Those are the little things that most owners don't look at. Keita Bates-Diop may be another cheat code. If covert ops goes, he's a small forward. He would probably slot into that starting position, and again, that could be something to look at between him and Naz Reid. So just keep an eye out on Minnesota, because like I said earlier in the season, that team probably needs to just rebuild and retool at this point. With the team they have, if they can't get it done with these guys on the court, I don't know what's going on. Same thing with Culver's Ice Cream. I just like his name. I don't know if I like him, but I just like his name. But I'm gonna segue that into my clutch shot. I gotta go ahead and advise that I do have my first blog on the website, and this one's NBA Power Rankings. I went ahead and went through just all 30 teams here, giving you a quick blurb on those teams. I will be going into more detail as we move forward in the season. I'm going to try to keep this updated for you guys, usually at the end of the week, on the weekends. So look for updates usually every Sunday on these and how these changed. Now, this next one, the new one that's going to be coming up, will have a little bit of a different, wins and losses. But, man, it was fun doing this. Looking at some of these teams, there's a lot of stats I didn't know about a couple of teams in their defensive rankings. Their pace is a big thing on a lot of these better teams. They're not running this high pace offense like a lot of these other teams are trying. Like I know we were talking earlier in the year, some of these teams got middle of the road pace and they're doing just fine. So I don't know if pace is over exaggerated, but it was fun to do, and I do appreciate you guys looking at it. If you have any ideas or anything you want me to add to this article, it evolves with you guys, our listeners. So just let me know, and I appreciate the opportunity. Over to you, Starks.
Yeah, and then also at the same time, is it going to be like 2 different designs? So hopefully that picture was okay on the cover there, LT, that I did for you. Yeah. I was gonna also say it's going to be linked on another format also. So if you guys don't see it, it'll be like on the tabs above, so we can check that out for the NBA Power Rankings. And Honestly, I think it's underrated. That's not really utilized in fantasy enough because as LT the Sage, as he got on this podcast, he talks about the dynamics of teams. You can utilize that as a cheat code to give you ideas of how the team is, right? You need to know the notations of how teams run because that's going to give you the idea of what players can formulate and get opportunity, right? That's always important in NBA teams. And then at the same time, last thing, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I want to also apologize to Jacob on this because I do apologize. We went to overtime. I didn't mean to.
All good.
You could beat me up later.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Yeah. So Naz Reid, last thing, because I think it's important to emphasize a little bit more. He took 16 shots in 19 minutes. He pumped up the freaking volume tonight, and he took 10 3-point shots as center. Wow. 10 3-point shots as a center. So is he worth a pickup? Yeah. In a deep format, don't run for him in a 10 to 12 man league. I'm not saying that. But if you're in a deep format, go ahead and take a flyer and see what happens. Dynasty format, if he's available in a deep format, yeah, I'm going to pick him up. That's it. You guys can give me a follow on Twitter. I'm not going to give you guys the commercial, but make sure you guys subscribe to everything and check out our website, newlifefantasy.com. But give me a follow on Twitter. It's at Starks_industry. Also, give me a follow on Instagram, One Closing Hero. Ask me any questions. I'll get to you at a prompt time. We are pushing articles at a fast pace. So, be on the lookout for that. I'll pass you the ball there, Jacob. Where can they find you out there, man?
Thank you, brother. You can find me on Twitter at Ain't Done Yet. Done is spelled Dunne. I'd love for you guys to follow me and ask me any questions you got. And before I pass the ball over there to LT, I just want to say, man, your power rankings article was awesome, brother. It had a lot of content. It was well written. Really liked everything about it, man. So I'm pretty pumped to read it every week, and I know our listeners will be too, brother. So I appreciate you doing that.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. It means a lot coming from the article mastermind himself. So I appreciate that, man.
Absolutely.
You can find me on now again new.life.fantasy on Instagram. I will be posting up. I post clips. We're posting clips up so you guys can get a little sage eye view into these podcasts. So you guys can come through, support the YouTube as well, like you stated before. Dinner bell, ring a ding ding. Go ahead and add us so you can get those updates on when we post these podcasts because video format is available. And you can also, of course, get me on my Twitter at Sage Network X. Ask me any questions, man. If you have any questions about something fantasy related, I'll answer it. If you have a question about something else, I'm always ears open. So that's all here, and over to you, Starks.
All right, guys. Thank you. And again, so much, LT, for putting that out. I know that took some time, but that was excellent content for sure for the viewers out there. So listeners, we love you. God bless you. With that being said, have a good evening, morning, afternoon. Take a ride.